Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're going to continue my series on structural pruning, some of my portulacaria Afra rough material that I've been working on for a while. You can see this one's pretty healthy. It's got a lot of thick branches, and in this series sometimes I'm doing light pruning, sometimes I'm doing heavy pruning. I'm just trying to find the inner beauty of these trees, and let's take a look at this one. You can see it's got some roots there. I'm not going to work in the roots today because I'm not going to repot it or anything. But yeah, it's a healthy tree. You can see the first video in the series. I'll put a link in the description for lots of detail about where I got these. But they were rough material that I've been growing on for over a year now. And now it's time to start taking them to the next level as bonsai. But first, let's have a look at this, see what I might want to do. You can see it's got a lot of growth that just needs to be cut back. It's got this large main trunk here. Nice bark, but no taper. It goes straight up, but I do have a lot of branches coming off of it. See, we've got a large kind of stub here and also here on the right, where I just cut it back and it luckily did bud back. So we got some options there as well. That could be a potential new apex for the tree here. And of course, we have our Chinese philosophers cheering me on from the sidelines, enjoying a nice break from the sun there. And yeah, you can see, one idea I've thought about is just sort of, lopping this thing almost in half. And sort of really accentuating this base here. See we have some surface roots and a nice thick trunk, which I think is, pretty beautiful. I mean, you don't often get this on a lot of jades necessarily, so I don't really want to waste that. Um, and, there's that stump in the middle. It's sort of a bulge that has sprouted out a lot of new growth, but, you can see this is like it's almost a whirl here where I have one, two, three, four, maybe five branches, all coming out of the same spot, which is often not a good thing, but you can work in a style that way and just kind of have all just a mass of foliage kind of bulging out from that spot as well. It really has developed some nice foliage here. I think I might want as I look at this, I think definitely this top has got to come off. This long, chunky section sticking off to the right. Let me look, and I think I'll probably take this off because it's just sort of just thick and hanging out there. It's not very interesting, although it does have foliage that has grown. It's got branches out in the end. I look in the back. Maybe. So I keep looking at these two branches on the left. I kind of like them because they're kind of short and sort of stubby. And so, I think I could potentially work with those. There's some branches here that like this that are just probably not gonna. I mean, maybe it could work if I wanted to do a ball style. I could just cut everything back and regrow it from the central area. But I think that's, um, I mean, it'd be interesting because it has a nice fat trunk, and I'm sure it would work. But I'm just not. Uh, I'm just not inspired by that idea. Although, I mean, if you look at what it's doing now, that's probably the cheapest option forward. I could sort of cut right along here, um, and work with these two branches here, and then maybe get one out the back. Um, that might be a good option for this tree because, that would give it some natural taper, and it would get rid of this kind of thick straight up section that's not all that interesting at the moment. Sometimes it's best to just start. I see this. I know I don't want this, right? So, and oftentimes if you get rid of something, you know, the next step presents itself. So no time like the present. Let's take this off and let's see how that see what that does to the tree. Because I think that is definitely not something that I want as part of this tree when it's finished. Like even if I wanted to do a ball shape or have sort of a flat top, I wouldn't want that. Because I think this would probably be about the height that I'd want. So I'll just clean that up a bit and take those off. I apologize for all the ruckus Mabel's creating in the background. She serves a pretty important purpose around here. She keeps the squirrels at bay. I've only had maybe one sort of major squirrel incident where they really chewed on a tree and knocked it off the bench, and then I had to throw it into the flower bed to try to recover it. Which I'll show that in a future video. But she does a pretty good job. She does. She just hates those squirrels with a passion, and so I'm quite sure that's what's going on over there. Um, so I'll try to tune some of that out, but I apologize if I'm not all that successful. So that was a definite improvement, and you can see, the tree doesn't have a bad flow at the moment, right? I mean, it definitely has some overly thick branches here at the top, particularly on the right. Um, but it kind of works. You know what I mean? It's got like, it has sort of a tree shape. It kind of comes up and sprawls out in the top and has a triangular shape. I'm not completely happy with it. I'm gonna just clean up this top a bit. And so what I'm trying to decide, and I think I mentioned this in the last video, is do I want to make a bold move and you know try to do some structural pruning so that I can then grow this tree out for the next 5-6 years without doing much to it. Or do I want to do sort of a short hop and, kind of enjoy it closer to the shape that it's currently in? And I think I'm going to take this off, which kind of makes my decision. I think I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I think I definitely want some taper, right? And I want this tree to be more sort of miniaturized, for the lack of a better description. And I don't want it to look. I guess I want it to look more like a tree and sort of less like a bush. And so I kind of shaved that down to try to, take some of the bulges out. So if I do get growth here, in that top branch, it would look a bit more natural. Sometimes it helps, like when you're kind of struggling with the tree. I'm just gonna cut this back a bit. I've got a lot of straight upward growth, and stuff that's too long. And maybe we want it in the spot where it's is now, but I want more branching and more taper, and it to be even more compact. So I'll just kind of cut these branches back, and see how it looks. But I was going to say, sometimes it's helpful to bounce some ideas off of somebody, because especially when you have material like this, it gives you a lot of different options. But you're not that crazy about many of them, maybe. That definitely helps, to do that. And yeah, I think it's sort of like you could probably hear in my voice that usually my daughter says, she goes, "Something bothering you, Dad?" Because uh yeah, I'm just not um I'm not happy with this. So let me just sit with it a bit here, and we'll see what's going on. But it's kind of like, it's kind of a huge difference. Like when you're working on a tree, and uh, it just looks good and has a good shape, and with every cut or every step you're sort of, it's converging, right? You can sort of see the advancement and you're sort of happy with it. And sometimes that process is a lot less straightforward with some trees than others. And the other part of this is, part of me thinks, maybe this entire time I've been pruning this, I kind of know what I want to do, and I'm just kind of working my way up to it, which is often the case too. And it's not a bad strategy, right? So I sort of um, save the harshest option for last, and then try to work your way toward it. Because who knows, you may find some magic on the way, or you may, depending on how you prune it, you may see something that really appeals to you more, Um, and I think that might be what's happening here. But let's keep going. Well, on the positive side, I think I've come up with a good name for this tree as I've hacked it back to near nothing. I think I'm going to call it Big Little Blue because it's in a blue pot and it started out big. Now it's kind of little. And I think I'm getting back to my original idea of, maybe I do need to just cut it back, go with my original um, concept that I had for the tree right from the beginning, and just create some taper and, make it, it actually sort of makes it look like a larger tree if you have a lot of taper, a nice root base, and it's short. And, I love very small trees. And, this is just very uninteresting with this huge chunk. And, the beautiful part of this tree is this thick base here, and then also this branch. So I'm going to take it off right here, and let's see what we come up with. Man, this is a large. I practically need a chainsaw to go through this thing. It is, it is thick. So thick. I really want to hang on to the tree so I don't sort of dislodge it from the soil, because this is quite quite a cut on this tree for sure. So here we go, sawing away, and just taking some bites to get this thing to finally give it up. And wow, look at that. That is quite a chunky cutting. And I mean, that's dramatic. Look at that. I'm going to clean this up, but I've got taper, I've got movement. I mean, it's just got a nice, it kind of comes out to the right and then it swoops to the left. It's got a nice flow to it. I've got a new top here, and man, I am so happy, and I guess if there's a lesson of the day in this video, it's, cut away your problems. Boy, if life were as simple as bonsai, right? Like, I struggled with this. I was very unhappy, kept going, kept moving with it, and look at that. That is beautiful. Like, I really am super happy. And, hopefully my Chinese philosophers who had a front row seat to all this horrific carnage um, are are happy as well, and they get to watch this thing progress into the future. So how great is that? But man, I really like a story that ends well. And like I said, almost without exception, I'm always happy with pruning. Right? It sort of speeds up development. You're not wasting time. This large wound here on the back of the tree will heal. And I am just really, really happy with this. Now, of course, I did take quite a bit off, and it'll take a while for this thing to fill out and recover, and I'll eventually put it into a smaller pot as well. But you can certainly see the triangle shape here, and there'll be more to do, but I think the heavy lifting certainly done. And yeah, I think, look at the roots. It's all kind of in shape now. It's sort of like consistent. Let me bring it in here and we'll do a victory lap. And like I said, what a difference just a few cuts can make. And it's probably maybe that's the front. I sort of like that new top coming up, and it's got sort of a nice movement. And yeah, just fabulous. And so that's pretty much a wrap for today. And I want to thank you for sticking with me on this one. Sometimes they're tough. And I really appreciate your watching and liking and commenting on my videos. And thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon.